When I first started learning Terraform, I made a massive mistake. I tried to learn everything, but looking back, I realized that 80% of what I studied was a complete waste of time for a beginner. If I had to start again today, I would do the opposite and focus strictly on the important stuff that will get you hired. So in this video, I'm going to give you the step-by-step roadmap for learning Terraform that I wish I had, starting with the first phase. So usually, I'd recommend getting your hands dirty and building things as fast as possible to learn a new tool. But with Terraform, there is one specific concept you need to understand before you start coding. If you get this right, everything else just clicks. And that is that Terraform is declarative, not imperative. Most of us are used to imperative thinking. It's how Python scripts or Bash scripts work. Think of it like getting in a taxi and giving the driver turn-by-turn direction. Turn left here, drive 500 meters, stop at the light, turn right. You're in control, but you're also responsible. If there's a road closure that you didn't know about, the script breaks. But even more dangerously, if you accidentally read those instructions twice, the driver turns left twice and you may end up in a ditch. In the coding world, that means you accidentally bill yourself for 2 servers instead of 1. Declarative, which is what Terraform is getting in that taxi and saying, take me to the airport. You define the end state. You don't care how the driver gets there. You don't care about the route. And crucially, if you say, take me to the airport a second time, the driver just looks at you and says, we're already here. Nothing happens. It's safe. This is important because Terraform isn't just a script that runs once. It's a tool designed to keep your infrastructure in that end state forever. So to really nail this concept, I recommend looking at HashiCorp's Intro to Infrastructure as Code. It provides an overview of what infrastructure as code is and how it's used and why engineers use it. Now, to actually practice Terraform, we need an account with a cloud provider. So the next step is to sign up for a free account with a cloud provider. If you aren't sure which one to pick AWS. Yes, I'm biased. My career is based around AWS, but practically speaking, it has the largest Terraform community, and that matters for your learning speed. As a recap, in this phase, you would have understood that Terraform is a declarative, not imperative language, understood how and why infrastructure as code is used, created an account with a cloud provider. Once you've done that, it's time to move on to phase 2. But before we cover that, I'm currently building a step-by-step system designed to take you from zero experience to having an interview-ready portfolio of impressive AWS projects. You'll use Terraform to build these projects, then follow a simple blueprint to share them on your resume. You'll also receive personalized feedback on your project from a professional cloud engineer. If this sounds good to you, join the free waitlist at the link below and get early access with an exclusive discount. So now phase 2 is where most people unknowingly slow down their progress. The natural instinct is to go to Udemy and buy a complete Terraform masterclass or search YouTube for a full course and try to sit through a 10-hour lecture. I want you to resist that urge. The problem with these courses isn't that they're bad. Actually, a lot of them are quite good. It's just that they're bloated. They front load way too much theory. So instead of a long course, I recommend going straight to the source and doing the official HashiCorp Get Started tutorials, specifically the AWS track. It's completely free, covers the core concepts to get you started, and is very easy to understand even if you have no previous tech experience. You'll learn 2 key things. First, the core workflow. This is where you learn the 3 main commands: Terraform init, Terraform plan, and Terraform apply. Now, take your time here. You want to get comfortable with these, making sure you understand the purpose of each one. Second is managing change. In particular, the manage infrastructure module. This is your introduction to variables and outputs, which is crucial. Now, a quick tip. You can skip the final module called collaborate using HCP Terraform. HCP is HashiCorp's commercial cloud platform. You don't need to worry about this right now. We want to master the actual open source tool first. So once you've done that tutorial track, it's time to move to phase 3. If you finished a HashiCorp tutorial, you're probably feeling pretty confident. You ran a command, you saw a server pop up in AWS, and honestly, that first successful Terraform apply is a great feeling. But this is usually where I see a lot of people get stuck. They have the syntax, but they don't know how to structure a real project. The code you have right now works, but it's what I'd call hobby code. It's not really how companies use Terraform. To bridge the gap between I know the commands and I can build infrastructure for a company, I recommend a great book, Terraform Up and Running by Yevgeny Brukman. Now, there are a lot of tech books out there that collect dust on people's shelves, but this one is different because of how we're going to use it. You shouldn't read this like a textbook. Don't read it in bed or during your commute. Ideally, if you had a lot of time, I would suggest going through every chapter in the book and following along with all of the exercises. However, I know that for a lot of people, they might not have the time to read the whole thing. They want the 80-20 result. What can I learn that gets me 80% of the way there? So in that case, for this phase, I recommend that you read chapters 2, 3, and 4 and follow along with all of the exercises in these chapters. Here's why I would focus on these chapters specifically. first, chapter 2. Consider this a bit of a recap and extension from the things that you've covered from the HashiCorp tutorials. Next, chapter 3. This chapter teaches you how to manage your Terraform state file when you're working in a team. Now, this is arguably the most important concept in the book that you should learn, as it comes up all the time during interviews. In a company, you never work alone. You work on a team with other engineers. If you keep your Terraform state on your laptop, you're effectively isolating yourself. No one else can update the infrastructure, and if you go on holiday, the team is stuck. But there's a bigger risk. Without the locking mechanism that this chapter teaches, two engineers could try to update the same piece of infrastructure at the same time. It's like two people trying to edit the same Word document simultaneously. Someone's work is going to get overwritten, and the file may get corrupted. In the cloud, that means breaking something. And finally, chapter 4, this introduces modules. By the time you finish the first two chapters, your code is going to be getting long and messy. Chapter 4 teaches you how to clean it up. You know, imagine you copy-paste the code for a server 50 times because you need 50 servers. It works fine today, but next week your boss tells you that you need to change the security setting on all of them. Now you have to find and edit that setting in 50 different places. You're guaranteed to pretty much miss at least one, and you introduce bugs. Modules solve this. You write a kind of server blueprint, then you can use that 50 times. If you need to change a setting, you just change it in the blueprint and it automatically updates everywhere. So when you show a hiring manager that you know how to use modules, you're telling them that you care about writing maintainable code. Now, the reason I tell everyone to focus on these chapters specifically is that they solve two of the biggest red flags for hiring managers. If they see code that is copied and pasted 10 times, red flag. That's a maintenance nightmare. If they see a local state file committed to the repo, red flag. That shows you don't know how to work in a team. By mastering these chapters, you're removing these red flags before you even walk into the interview. After you've done that, it's now time to move on to the final phase. So by now, you have a solid foundation in Terraform. The important thing now is to build projects. But this is the moment where most people start to hit a wall. You know the syntax, but you don't know what to build next. You go to Google and search for Terraform project ideas, and you find a bunch of basic tutorials that just deploys another EC2 instance. And the temptation here is to go back to the book. You look at the table of contents and think, oh, I'll just read chapters 5 through 10. I'll memorize how loops and conditionals work. But this isn't really the best use of your time. If you try to learn the syntax for a for each loop without having a problem to solve, you'll forget it in a week. It's like trying to memorize the dictionary. It's boring and it doesn't really stick. So for this final phase, I want you to build the Cloud Resume Challenge, specifically the AWS version. If you haven't heard of it, the challenge asks you to build a personal website hosted on AWS. This project is perfect for us because it forces you out of your comfort zone. It teaches you the basics of AWS with a learn by doing mentality. But how does this relate to Terraform? Well, your goal is to go through the challenge. Once you've done it manually, deploy the whole thing using Terraform. This is also where the rest of the Terraform up and running book comes in. Treat it like a reference manual. If you get stuck or want to integrate one of the concepts, then read through it and add that to your project. Here is what that looks like in practice. You'll start writing code for your Lambda permissions and realize you're just copying and pasting the same JSON policy 3 times. It's annoying. You'll think, there must be a way to loop this. And that's when you open up chapter 5. You learn about for each loops and dynamic blocks to solve that specific problem. Then you'll get to the database. You'll realize you need to pass a password or an API key, but you know you can't commit it to GitHub. That's the moment you open up chapter 6. You learn about secrets management to solve that specific problem. This kind of just-in-time learning is how engineers actually work. They don't memorize the documentation. They have a problem, find the tool or the documentation that solves it, and then they implement it. By the time you finish this project, you would have learned enough Terraform to get you hired and pass interviews. You'll also have a portfolio website that you can show off and talk about. But you won't get a job just by learning Terraform. To build a resume that actually gets past the recruiters, you need to have the key skills that companies want. If you miss these key skills, knowing Terraform won't be enough to save you. Luckily, I analyzed over 300 real cloud jobs to find out what skills are actually in demand. So click here to learn what they are.